And this is Aman for the 50 Shades of Liberty, and I have my guest on. Guest, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Gumet.
Awesome. So let's begin by talking about the human mind.
Okay. Which topic in particular?
Maybe the evolution of the human mind.
Um, do you mean like biologically?
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know, humans have been around for Homo sapiens have been around for how long?
Millions of years.
That's about as far as I know. I mean, I guess Homo sapiens at some point developed consciousness, and yeah, we've been at it ever since, I guess.
Yeah, the brain is also a physical system that operates according to the law of physics.
Mm-hmm.
And it has neutron circuits that were designed by natural selection to solve problems that our ancestors faced.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that we don't know most of the things that go on in our mind.
Do you mean
like very? We aren't conscious.
We don't understand?
Yeah.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Well, I guess that's an active topic in neuroscience at the moment.
Yep.
So, what else is there to discuss on this topic?
I guess I would say like one of the things I'm concerned about is growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is adapting to norms part of development? That's one of my questions I have in mind so far.
Adapting to social norms, is it part of neurological development?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I guess so. I mean, I guess every part of human development has physical consequences for the brain. So, I guess an interesting question would be to which extent are social norms a consequence of how our brains are like, sexual differences, whatnot.
I mean, one of the questions on values is like, for example, in America, the typical norm would be when you grow up to be an individual.
Mm-hmm.
And becoming yourself is part of being a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see most of these SJWs who are young, I'm like, maybe their brains aren't wired to develop as quickly as most people and become an individualist, I guess. Conform to the norm of individualism.
I'm not sure that's true because this social justice thing is a new phenomenon in society. I mean, if we went back 100 years, people their age would already be married with a few kids. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's part of a development stuck, like being stuck in a development stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go for it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that they're kind of stuck in the middle childhood stage, like, in the childhood stage where you're kind of associating with the winning gang with the cool guys.
Oh, true. Two things to add to that. First of all, I remember I listened in the past to some discussion between Norman Podhoretz and can't remember who the other gentleman was, but one of them was proposing that this extended development thing that obviously led to the SJW phenomenon. He was proposing that at some point in, I don't know, after it became a big for people, there started to be all of these televised kidnappings of children and whatnot, and that made parents start to become overprotective and whatnot, and sheltering their children, and that kind of laid the roots for that. And the other thing I was going to mention is apparently how the society is now. Kids used to stop developing socially around 18 or 19 years old, high school, but now that college is similar to high school, so now their brains are still socially developing into the 20s, which is a change from the past.
Yeah, that's why I would say that they can't quickly adapt to the traditional value of individualism and working for personal achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of viewing everybody else as part of the institute and then viewing themselves as exclusives to the institute in a way, because everyone wants to view him or herself as non-conforming.
Mm-hmm.
And as a collective, they might be thinking that we are like individualism. They view individualism as an institute on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of like, oh, we are not going to conform to that value. We are going to rebel against it, like the way teenagers would do.
So you're saying that that instead of seeing individualism as some inherent goodness, they see it as they tie it in with the white capitalist patriarchy thing, and they basically, in order to reject American values, they reject individualism.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
So let's see. Let me try to find the stats on freedom to pursue life's goals without state interference. 58% of Americans believe that one should pursue his freedom without the state interfering.
Mm-hmm.
In Britain, it's 38%.
Wow.
And then in Germany, it's 36%. France, it's also 36%.
Okay.
And then Spain, it's 30%.
Spain is, I'm not familiar with their political situation, but aren't they fairly socialist, similar to the rest of Europe? Mm-hmm.
All the other countries are fairly socialist except for United States, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part of the question was states guarantee nobody is in need. States guarantees that nobody is in need.
Mm-hmm.
And 35% of Americans believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
And 55% of Britons believe in that. In Germany, it's 62%.
Wow. Interesting. Regarding the individual freedom statistics, do they have any similar statistics from the past? I mean, has that number increased in the past 20 years?
This is from 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I think, let's see, success in life is determined by the forces outside our control. That was one of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And in the United States, that is 36% of Americans agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
62% disagree.
Mm-hmm.
3% don't care or don't know.
Okay.
41% of Britons agree with that.
Wow.
55% disagree, which is good news.
Yeah.
4% don't know.
Okay.
For Spain, it's 50% that agree with that statement. And 47% disagree. 3% don't know. In France, it's 57% who agree that there is some force outside of our life controlling our success. And 43% disagree. 0% don't know. Everyone in France has chosen. It's like
funny. Well,
in Germany,
which percent? Sorry, go ahead. In Germany,
72% agree with that statement that there is someone that's controlling our life.
Wow. Interestingly enough, I mean, Germany is pretty pro-spite their seemingly regressive views. So I wonder what accounts for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the religious right and the regressive left that believe in that value.
Mm-hmm. You know, but the interesting thing is, obviously, that is true on the most basic level. Of course, the universe is deterministic. I mean, no religious person, there's no argument otherwise for free will. But given that, I mean, I think perhaps it's not a good thing for people to know that because it can obviously detrimentally affect their behavior. Um, Probably it's a good thing if most people are never questioned about their own free will.
So, normal American values, what we consider American values, would be valuing work,
Mm-hmm.
and then being detected, hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is viewed as immoral is not working and being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And morality and humanism are kind of part of the American value.
Mm-hmm.
To some degree, faith is also an American value.
Mm-hmm.
Justice, equality, and charity towards the unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be all American values.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is that the regressives would agree with justice, equality, and charity,
Mm-hmm.
but they wouldn't agree, for example, with the morality aspect of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, not taking personal responsibilities in moral.
Mm-hmm. Well, but the interesting thing is, yes, they would, as long as you're not a black or an illegal alien or Muslim. Uh, they obviously, I mean, in a very racist fashion, they hold white people to the highest of moral standards. I mean, that's why you
Yep.
hear them. White men are how do you say? White men are condemned for spreading their legs too wide on a subway, but Muslim men are not
Manspread.
condemned for doing all kinds of terrible things, nor are black men for saying sexist things in rap music. None of those things are talked about.
And then on religion,
Mm-hmm.
50% very strongly believe in religion,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the total sense, and 53% think that there is a moral value to believing in religion.
Mm-hmm.
When we break it by gender, for
Mm-hmm.
men it's 41% who think religion is very important.
Mm-hmm.
For women it's 59%.
That's quite the discrepancy.
Yeah, it's not even that much, right? Though.
Why do you think that is that discrepancy between male and female belief in the
I think
utility?
men are on the extreme sides of most things.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, for example, men who are atheists, they are more in the anti-theist camp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for women, it's more religion is more of a comfort zone for women. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the main reason women believe in those values is because they want to feel comfort. Whereas for men, in most cases, it's for dominance
Okay.
and masculine control of the institute, I guess,
Okay.
in normal conditions.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could say that's the same for those same reasons. That's why women are obviously, as far as I know, much more likely to support socialism. It's all about security, comfort. I mean, that ties directly into our evolutionary history.
Yep.
Men are built to go and kill animals and hunt, and women are looking for someone stronger, the stronger sex to protect her, to provide for her.
Yep, I agree with that. Because I mean, for example, if it's like they have to make the best choices in our evolutionary past, because
Mm-hmm.
one bad choice would be a huge consequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's between having having a safe family and living. It could be the difference between 10 years worth of life.
Mm-hmm.
the male were the providers and the females were kind of just gaining from the provision of the men,
Mm-hmm.
and in a way put in a pedestal.
Oh, definitely.
So as we are on the issue, let's go to dating.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when the idea of dating became a thing in America?
In America, no. I know the idea of romance originated in the later Middle Ages.
In America, it became a thing in the 1890s.
1890s, okay. And before then, it was all arranged?
It wasn't arranged, but it wasn't called dating as per se.
Okay.
The main purpose in the old days was to find an ideal mate,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of arranged in a way,
Okay.
but it wasn't like technically arranged. I was watching an alt-right winger make a video last week, and then he was like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to bring arranged marriages back. I was like, no, we don't. That is
Interesting.
like,
That's Well, I mean, there's obviously it depends how you view the relationship between men and women. If you believe in if you're all into the romantic love thing, obviously dating is for you. But I mean, some people view marriage as simply an institution, a legal institution for which to bring children into the world and whatnot. And obviously, many religious people see it that way. So, if that's the case, then obviously, arranged marriages are much more useful for them.
yeah, but still, even if you go by that system of values,
Mm-hmm.
there's still huge consequences to having arranged marriages.
Mm-hmm.
The question becomes, one of the questions that comes is, in most arranged marriages, both families should have equal level of power to some degree.
Should they?
Because yeah, both of the, only if one of the families has more power,
Mm-hmm.
the partner is going to be abusive, and so it's going to limit people to their class.
I guess that's true. Mm-hmm. That's probably, well, that's a bad thing regarding social mobility and whatnot, which is a hallmark of American society.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing I watched several human rights documentaries on women's rights abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
so there is a pattern that you see, which is when women who are from lower class marry men who are from upper class and
Mm-hmm.
well organized, so
Mm-hmm.
they pay the what they call the bride price,
Mm-hmm.
and then after the lady's family get the money, and then
Mm-hmm.
after she gets into the marriage, they can't pay back the money because usually they are
Oh,
giving money that's above their income level.
right. So they burned her in India.
In India, they would burn her, but in these cultures where she can't have divorce in any way because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you have to pay me back my money.
Okay, so they just use her as a house slave.
Yeah, technically she has to tolerate being abused and everything like that.
Terrible.
So that's why I'm not a big fan of traditional marriages.
Well, that's a
Because
pretty good reason not to be.
the men could not that men are evil inherently, but if I wanted to abuse someone's rights, the best way to do it would be to get married to someone who is lower than my class
Mm-hmm.
in a traditional marriage setting. Then, boom, I already have more rights than them.
Oh, definitely. That's the same reason it's considered rape if a boss or someone in a position of power over a woman has sex with her, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be the reason. But in a way, that's intent does matter, though. They're kind of ignoring intent in that case.
Um, yeah, I guess so. I mean, obviously there can be situations in which they're genuinely in a relationship.
Yeah, I do feel like most people ignore intent in those cases.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they could have more nuance and try to understand the case.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I just know that that's the law.
Uh, okay, I think you have to make it official or something like that in the United States. I'm not sure how
Mm-hmm.
the law works in the rest of the world.
You have to what?
You have to make it official and make everyone know your
Oh,
relationship.
really? Mm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
works with. But I think I don't know in most other workplaces, but like for example in the place I've seen, but it's a fair rule for both the men and the women.
Mm-hmm.
It's not more of it's less of like the typical women's rights type of thing. It's more of an all rights type of thing.
Ah, so in that way, it's not a bad thing if it's not strictly condemning men for doing so.
Yeah, it's kind of a fair thing.
Okay, fair enough then.
So that was on dating, and then let's have a deeper look at
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay.
I heard that somewhere around along the lines of 58% of Americans have a step sibling.
Have a step sibling? Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
still, but still, the majority of families are nuclear families.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, we might see a shift towards non-traditional families or non-nuclear families.
Mm-hmm. So that's an inevitable shift.
I think so.
Um, uh, I don't think there's anything inherently superior about a nuclear family consisting of a man and a woman. I've heard conservatives use this the supposed superiority of that institution to condemn gay adoption and gay marriage and whatnot. But I mean, if you look at all sorts of societies, we see through history a wide variety of families, and I don't necessarily think there's something special about having a mother and a father.
I mean, definitely there is no like something unique or something sacred,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's quite good to have your biological parents with you, because, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because if you have a medical condition, for example, you'd easily have an access to how to deal with it from your past family record.
Yeah, that's true. But you could,
So
I mean, you could imagine a situation in which you could arrange adoption so that it could give adopted children access to those records.
yeah, I'm okay with that. Open adoption.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of closed adoptions, but I'm like, that's kind of bad in a way, because I do believe that people should have. You shouldn't limit the child's right, because the child didn't choose to not have his parents.
True.
So you shouldn't limit it. Anyway, you can go for it.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I think about that. I mean, I guess the reason for closed adoptions is sometimes the mother she might not want to have to deal with the psychological consequences of meeting the child later in life or watching them grow up. And I mean, there can be a variety of reasons. And actually, I think perhaps sometimes it might be better for children not to know they were adopted if, for example, their biological parents were questionable individuals. I mean, I don't imagine that does wonders for their self-esteem if they take into account the percentage of traits which are heritable. I think that might, it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy for some kids if they find out their parents were criminals or something. I mean, I can imagine that would be terrible.
Sure. I mean, I do understand that in that sense, but okay, if the parents are, for example, one of the main reasons most people adopt their child is poverty, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those cases, I would say you should give some disclosure to the parents
Mm-hmm.
and give them some level of connection to their child.
Yeah, I mean, I think that another reason why there is closed adoptions is some parents they want to have an experience of an experience of raising a child in which the child really they truly have a parent-child connection, and that child might doesn't find out that they are not going to find out that that's not the real parents until adulthood. I think that can be really beneficial. I mean, children who know they're adopted, they're probably going to feel embarrassed. They're embarrassed of the fact that their parents didn't want them. Probably they're going to feel alienated from their family. They're going to feel as if they don't fit into their biological family. And I can see how having closed adoptions could benefit both the child and the parent.
I mean, for the child, though, in the long
Mm-hmm.
run, there will be some time when they realize that they are adopted.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they'll find out someday,
Mm-hmm.
finding out the better it would be.
Mm-hmm. So wait. So in a closed adoption, that means they can never know whatsoever who their parents were.
In some cases, yeah.
Well, that seems a little much, but a situation in which the child is only able to learn of their parents' identities at 18 years old or in adulthood, that sounds perfectly reasonable.
Sounds reasonable, and I agree with that. But for example, if their parent dies, I would say that it's good to tell them that, because usually secrets can't be kept secrets. They'll be released in some way.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe.
So finding out from an outside source is kind of more painful towards them.
Yeah. I mean, that's assuming that the child. I mean, that's assuming that simple a relatedness causes one to feel any sort of meaningful connection with another person. I'm sure many adopted people feel no connection whatsoever to their biological parents. All the less so, given that they were not raised by them.
I mean, to some people, like, it gives them a big meaning in life.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess everyone's different, but I wouldn't imagine that a lot of people would really care so much about the fact that they wouldn't care that much about someone just because of the coincidence of their relatedness.
Yeah, that would be true, but for some people, biology is everything.
That seems ridiculous.
It's like, oh man, I'm close to him, so I've got to be with him.
Maybe so.
So that was on human behavior, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Of classical liberalism. How does it relate to human behavior?
I think that classical liberalism is, as I remember, basically the conservative ideology is based off of classical liberalism, if I'm correct. No?
I mean, there are some conservatives that are anti-classical liberal values.
Mm-hmm. Well, social conservatives, but free market capitalism, individual rights, property rights. These are all classical liberal principles, are they not?
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, I think that Well, I want to say that that's the best political ideology for any society, but I'm not sure it's the case. I mean, for example, if America went into Iraq and tried to set up a society based on classical liberalism. Obviously, not every society that's not compatible with every type of society. But I think ideally, it's the ideology which upholds objective human rights, promotes human happiness and well-being in the best way.
How do you think we can spread classical liberal values to the rest of the world?
Well, well, I think for most societies, simply the superiority of these values is enough evidence for many societies to adopt them. For example, Japan was a very insular nation before. When was it the first time America interacted with Japan? In the late 1800s? Am I mistaken?
I think so.
So when I'm not American, but when America first interacted with Japan, obviously Japan was an insular nation which thought of itself as superior. But incidentally, they quickly saw that in fact America is superior, and they went ahead and adopted American values to such, at one point in Japan's history, they were even considering making English their official language. You can see all of the Western cultural influences they've taken. They've set up a society based largely on classical liberalism, and they've thrived to the point that they've actually exceeded America in an economic sense in many areas. And you can say the same thing about India. They've adopted free market principles. Singapore? Well, basically every nation that's had Western influences.
Well, while we are on the topic at Japan, what do you think of the decline of marriage in Japan? What is one example?
Well, it seems to me that that's probably the decline of marriage. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's probably a Western cultural import. This, individualism on steroids, me kind of thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would imagine that's partly to blame for that. I guess individualism taken to too great of an extent can also be problematic.
Do you think the decline of marriage is a problem in a way, or?
Well, if you are thinking not only of yourself but of future generations, obviously that is going to pose a demographic problem, because eventually whichever demographic is reproducing at a higher rate is going to overtake you, and that's going to be possibly the end of classical liberalism altogether. So clearly it's a problem.
I mean, one of the things that they'll say is there will be robots to protect us from the tyranny of non-classical liberal values, because we'll adapt the highest technology in our time. And so that will provide us the protection from foreign attack, I guess.
Well, that would be great, but do we have any evidence that that's going to happen in the next 40 years?
Yeah, I mean, for example, did you see the drone they used in the Black Lives Matter protest? That type of technology would be advanced.
Okay. Well, I mean,
on that,
what's it called? Something's law, which predicts that technology will continue. How do you say advancing at a certain doubling every something years? What is that law called?
Oh, Lewis law or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, if that's continuing, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing greater and greater technology. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't see any evidence of anything close to artificial intelligence yet. So
I mean, it's not intelligence to. It's just the military strategy that's required. Just teaching them.
so I thought you meant. I thought maybe you meant like that there will be some sort of like moral robot that will set policies or something.
Oh, sorry for the confusion, but they'll also have to give us comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because most of us will be elders by then probably,
Mm-hmm.
and so they'll come to take care of the elders, and then there'll be others to go and battle for us, and then there could be some to work for us, I guess, do our
Mm-hmm.
jobs, and kind of give us an.
So basically, robot slaves.
Yeah.
Great. What do you think of the whole concept of globalism? What if do you think that in a utopian sense it would be a good thing if the entire world shared the same values, the same culture? I think it would be great too. I mean, I think the United Nations, the League of Nations, they were all far ahead of their time anticipating something like that. I think it's naive, but it's a great idea.
With the League of Nations, what was not the League of Nations? Wait, what was the one that came before the United Nations, the organization during the World War II?
Wasn't it the League of Nations?
Let me see. And so, in that case, we weren't involved in the world. The United States didn't get involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the problem with the other system that they had before the United Nations.
What was it called again? I can't remember.
Let me see. Let's see if it's the League of Nations. The League of Nations. How did the League of Nations was designed to enforce Treaty of Versailles and peace agreements that conduct? Yeah, it's the League of Nations. You are right.
What was the language they even proposed? I mean, these very ahead of their time. What wasn't the American president at the time one of these idealists? Am I mistaken?
I mean, he wasn't part of the League of Nations at that time.
Wasn't some president that there was some American president who was a thinker about these issues? What was his name?
I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Let's see.
If I wrote a book about this once, but I've forgotten everything. Anyway, weren't these thinkers, these futuristic thinkers who came up with the concept of League of Nations, weren't they also they wanted the entire world to speak one language? I can't remember what it's called. They were making plans for that, and well,
I mean,
also
that
naive.
was a conspiracy.
Esperanza.
I think that was a conspiracy because technically Americans were isolationists at that time, and so they didn't want to get involved with the rest of the world.
No, I think maybe it was just an American philosopher then, not a president. But remember, Esperanto was this language that they thought everyone in the world under one. The entire world will become one country, and or at least everyone in the world will be able to communicate through this universal language called Esperanto.
I think it's a neutral international language.
Mm-hmm.
There is about 10,000 people to 10,000 to 2 million people.
Really? People still speak it? What is the point of that?
Yeah. I don't know. It was made by Ludwig then half.
You know what's so silly about this? Oh, we want an international language that everyone can. Yeah, it's called English. That is the language. Everyone speaks it.
I think we might have Chinese become the next English.
Well, most of Chinese people don't they study English in their schools too as well?
I mean, we are studying Chinese in here, so
Really?
yeah, it's not like a
Seriously?
requirement, but there's so many people who study it now.
Well, I'd love to study it, but sounds pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to study from my friend, but I couldn't.
Too
It's
hard.
like,
The pronunciation is too difficult.
yeah. Also thinking of the fact that it's a non-Latin writing,
Mm.
that alone turns me off.
Oh yeah.
It's like, if it was Latin, it would be much easier.
For sure.
But I think it's this way. I think gender roles will change as robots come.
Really?
Yeah, because there'll almost be no role for women, so men might have to take the part of the role of women in that time. Because who will be, just think of this. One of the roles of
Mhm.
women right now is to procreate. And
Mhm.
if we had enough technology to make robots manage to be procreators,
Mhm.
that would make women a good number of women out of business.
Have you read Brave New World?
Yeah,
Um,
but I didn't finish it.
so that sounds. I mean, maybe the world would be like that if technology got to that level. I think that's an interesting hypothesis. Men and women basically just have sex with each other and just work at whatever they were in vitro tuned to work in, and then basically just die, and life just
They don't die
continues that
actually.
way. Hmm?
I mean, in Brave New World, it was like their life was very short. Not short,
Yeah,
but it was like they
Be-
couldn't know that they were dead,
right,
technically.
because of the drugs that they took to maintain their illusion of happiness.
Yeah, but I, I think that was a cool writing though. The author was quite cool.
Oh yeah, it's very philosophically interesting. How there's one part where he discusses with the guy who invented the society. The main character discusses with him, and I wish I would have saved the quote, but he basically talks about how truth is not as valuable as just enjoyment and contentment, and that's why, despite being a scientist and valuing truth, he created a society such as that.
Yeah, he wait. Let me. I remember something along the lines of he said something along the lines of ignorance is bliss or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he made. I think was he talking to John or was he talking to the other character?
Mm-hmm.
Was he talking to John, who is the child, or was he talking to the other character?
Um, I believe he was talking to. Yeah. No, I think he was talking to the child.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Brave New World would be a good. Do you think it would be a utopian world for most people?
Pardon?
Do you think the Brave New World would be a utopian world for most people?
Um, well, I mean, you could ask the same about the Matrix, right? I mean, there's similarities there, and personally, I would choose to plug into the Matrix if that was a possibility. So, um, yeah, I think a lot of people would prefer to be content and not suffer from existential angst. I think probably that would most people would prefer that, whether or not they'll admit it.
I mean, here's the thing. My criticism of the Brave New World.
Mm-hmm.
I think doesn't in a way it doesn't understand that happiness is relative.
Mm-hmm.
So
Relative to
even
what?
if it's it's relative to the environment you're in.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are in a war zone, war isn't something that uncomforts you because you're already used to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
already the
Mm-hmm.
so it's war plus something that will make you uncomfortable.
Right.
Whereas if you live in a civilized democracy, you know, how hearing one bullet just pass across the sky would terrify you.
True.
So I think he didn't understand that. He didn't not understand, but he didn't kind of include that concept in a way.
Mm, I'm trying to think if I agree or not. But couldn't, I mean, wasn't he taking into account that everyone, I mean, most of people do suffer from existential angst, and I mean, reality is so hard for even someone living in a country like America. I mean, I think everyone does incur massive suffering just from living a normal, peaceful life. With if they take into account the reality of existence.
I think most people suffer from the reality of existence because they don't live in the present.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine how much, even right now. I mean, imagine how if we were living in the present, even right now, because we've already. You can't go for it.
I don't know what I think about living in the present because obviously I remember I've written some a few how do you say, some blog post about this once. Basically you can derive pleasure either from hope for the future or from actually happiness from the past tends to be well, that can either be make you happy, that can, you can drive happiness from that, or melancholy, so it's often a bad thing. But I would say for the most part, most people derive most of their happiness from hope for the future. That's why they engage in their daily life in activities which will promote a pleasurable future. I mean, most of happiness is just looking forward to future happiness, I think.
I mean, I think a good part of the Brave New World is parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So his main idea would be you can't learn what you do, you can't teach what you didn't learn.
Okay.
I think you could make a case for social construct, I guess, from reading the Brave New World.
Mm-hmm.
You would say, for example, Lena
Mm-hmm.
couldn't be a mother because she didn't learn the gender roles of being a mother.
Okay.
That was part of, I'm just reading the essay I wrote about the Brave New World.
Well, tell me more. I mean, I don't really remember it so well. Okay, I'd completely forgotten that it was about that there's like some world war or something. I'd completely forgotten that aspect. So silly of me. That's why you mentioned the relative happiness.
Yeah, I mean, also the indirect happiness part of it would be the change of pleasure
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that he focused on, because everyone
Mm-hmm.
wanted to feel some pain
Mm-hmm.
when the child of Lena was beating up himself.
Everyone wanted what?
Everyone wanted to be bet when John was beating himself on the streets.
I don't remember that part.
That is the end.
That's the
It's like,
end?
yeah, when he's beating up himself and then everybody wants to get bet up
Ah, right.
close to him.
Right. In the end, isn't it doesn't he hang himself or something? I remember being unsure of exactly what it
Yeah, he
was.
kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ah, right, because he goes and lives in the wild, and then people are reporting on him and stuff.
I think he killed himself for the anger of being alive, I guess.
Right.
It's like, and also they motivated him to kill himself, and it's kind of showing us the mob rule.
True.
When they cheered him to hang himself, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself because everyone wants me to." And everyone wanted to be beat up because everyone felt like it's something new. Everyone wants to try something new.
Because they've never had much emotional stimulation.
Yeah, and also they never experienced pain, and they wanted to have it as an experience.
Oh, interesting. Wow, I need to I need to read the plot again.
I finished the book online.
What's that?
I I read the novel half of it, but then I
Mm-hmm.
finished online.
Uh, you mean
That's
from
why.
like Sparks Notes or something?
No, there was a website that I checked at that time.
Mm.
I'll probably send it to you if I find it again.
Okay. Hmm.
I'll also send you my review of it.
Okay, sure.
Add more of a philosophical breakdown.
Sounds great. Send it to me.
Okay, I'll send it to you. And let's see. One of the. Did you read the Lord of the Flies
Yeah, sure.
book?
Yeah. Speaking
Go
of
for it.
the human evolution and whatnot, I recently read, as I mentioned, this book called The Nurture Assumption, and she explains how she thinks that book has a very flawed view of human nature. Basically, on account of the fact that the children, how they break up into groups, and she's claiming that because the kids basically they split up from the they congregate in their groups, basically with the strangers, and she's saying that no, children, if you were to do that, they would have just stuck with their class, and
I mean, I
that's
kind of
basically how it
disagree
would have been.
with her.
Hmm?
I kind of disagree with her on that
Yeah.
because some of the kids there were kind of like in their 14 years of age,
Mhm.
and in that age, you are kind of a rebellious type of guy.
Mhm.
Most people be rebellious, so I would kind of say that he could be right. I'm not
Mm,
saying he is right, but he could be.
mm, let me think. I don't know. Apparently, they've done some research on how children break up into groups and whatnot, and it's called the Robbers Cave experiment.
Hmm.
And they took kids who they took kids, two groups of kids, and they separated them into two different camps, and then observed their behavior. And basically, what happened? It's similar to Lord of the Flies. They start dehumanizing each other and whatnot. But I think the conclusion of the research was that if kids already knew each other from beforehand, I think they would try to join the groups of their friends, or maybe that was the conclusion when they did it with girls. Um,
I mean, here's the thing
Definitely,
though.
I can't even remember, so forget it.
Even if we're going to go with they go by their group, in Lord of
Mhm.
the Flies, they kind of divide themselves by ideas.
Mhm.
The small kids go with whoever wins.
Mhm.
So you could even say it's a critique of social norms, like people associating with the winner.
Um. Yeah. Sounds right.
And I think that he's expressing human nature using the tone of a child.
Mhm.
So I kind of agree with Lord of the Flies on most of its assumptions. For example, when they did the in-group and out-group study,
Mhm.
found out that if you give one group one trait and then the other group another trait,
Mhm.
they would they wouldn't there would be no respect for each other between those two groups.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you see between Ralph and Jack.
Ralph is the alpha kid.
Ralph would be the educated type of kid, the education-based kid. Ralph and
Oh,
Piggy.
how do you remember their names? I only remembered Piggy.
I kind of. It's almost like 3 years since I read it, so it's not that much far away. And I have my notes here, so.
Well, lo- um uh, I read Brave New World less than 6 months ago, so I'm a little embarrassed here.
I'm Brave New World. If I didn't have the thing here on Brave New World, I wouldn't really remember all the names.
Okay. So it says Ralph is
But
the athletic, charismatic protagonist.
yeah,
Okay, had no idea.
Jack would be the savage.
Jack is the one who okay, what I remember is that something they're fighting about whether or not to see the monster on top of the mountain, which is some survivor of some guy dead body that parachuted there, and they're afraid of the monster, and the monster is supposed to represent something, right?
I think it's fear of the unknown.
Right, and then they finally see. I can't remember what happens after they finally see that it's a dead human being.
He uses it as a tool to scare the kids.
Okay.
And he kind of manipulates the kids into being with him, using that as a fear technique.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, it could be a critique of religion in a way. You could see it as that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds also that sounds also about right.
So I think most people don't like Lord of the Flies that much because they don't get the hidden message of it in most cases. They expect
What
the
do
kids
most people think of? Hmm?
they think of the kids as kids,
Mhm.
that movie. Whereas if you just see them for the face value, they are a representation of different values that we have as human beings.
True. Yeah, I mean, isn't the point they're supposed to represent? And they're supposed to represent how society is, and then I think the most telling part, which is the most important part that I remember, is at the end. It describes one of the rescuers from his perspective, and he says, and then he walked onto the shore and saw all of these children playing on the beach, which is supposed to basically just I thought that was supposed to demonstrate just how dumb and just how crazy and uh, just how dumb and crazy humanity must look to a higher form of intelligence. All of these petty fights, it must look like if a higher intelligence were to come to Earth, they'd probably see us as that adults, all those children, just kids,
Yeah.
just fighting and chasing each other with sticks.
And I think one of the coolest part is when the guy comes in and says, you know how there are many kids stories where kids successfully become happy after escape,
After what?
after that type of situation. Like
Mhm.
most kids stories would end in a good way with a good
Mhm.
light,
Mhm.
and then the pilot kind of gets amused by that, by the
Mhm.
because he expected them to be like their story series.
Mhm.
I think that is a sign of high expectation for humanity.
Mhm.
We expect high for ourselves more than the way we can do.
Okay. Hmm.
So we've covered the Lord of the Flies unexpectedly. Did you read The Crucible?
The Crucible?
Yeah, I think that's the name.
No.
It's the
Who's
best.
the author?
It's the play. Arthur Miller.
Hmm?
Arthur Miller.
Arthur
He was
Miller?
a,
No, I haven't. I haven't read it. Tell me what it's about.
yeah. So it's about witch hunt,
Mhm.
and so it is a real story. Technically, it was happening in Salem in the 1990s or something like that. In the early parts of America before America was even born.
The witch trials. I thought that was in what the 1700s or so. No.
I think it was before the birth of America. I'm not sure of the year.
Yeah, 1692. It says.
And so he's making a story about that, and
Mhm.
his political message was about the communist trials that were happening in America,
Okay.
where there was thought crime.
Mhm.
And I think that book is very relevant today when you consider the SJW culture.
Which and the comparison is obviously that they think that anyone who's ever said or thought anything racist or sexist should be basically ostracized from society.
Yeah.
Interesting. So tell me more about the story and the plot and whatnot.
So there is there is there is different classes of people.
Mm-hmm.
They all get a one of them is Abby, and then all the girls go out there and they become naked.
Okay. They go out where?
in the bush, in the forest, and they become naked.
Okay.
They're dancing,
Mm-hmm.
and the parents didn't want to take responsibility for the actions of their children.
So they accused them of being witches?
No, they wanted to blame someone of bewitching their children.
Okay.
And then they blamed the lower class girl, the African slave
Mm-hmm.
at first. And then she blamed someone else, and it began circling around. And there was the
Mm-hmm.
witch trial doctor, and he was telling everyone else. And the girls didn't began accusing everyone they disagree with.
Wow. Okay.
And
Sounds
then
super relevant.
one of the girls was called Abby, and
Mm-hmm.
she had a relationship with the husband of Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And when he refused to be with her again, she accused him. She accused his wife first, and then he got accused, and everyone else was forced to testify that they are a bad person.
Seriously, wow. It's as if
And
he
then
was
he refused
predicting
to
the
testify.
future.
He refused to testify.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a recent past in our history.
Mm-hmm.
And when he refused to testify, they hanged him.
Okay.
And that's what really happened, because he believed that his name is worth everything he had.
Wow. Okay.
He died for his name in a way.
So
Yeah,
that's, and he's obviously considered a moral example.
yeah, and he's a high class person. That's why when he was accused, everyone began questioning the witch trials.
Well, and then so it only takes one martyr to basically make the whole scheme crumble.
I mean, there are many people who were murdered, but nobody cared. Everyone was laughing when they're being killed because
Mm-hmm.
they're low class people that nobody trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for him, he was an upper class guy that everybody respected.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, if he's a witch, how can I know that I'm not?
Wow, interesting.
And then the witch trials were outlawed
Mm-hmm.
after him. He was the last person to die.
Okay.
His wife became a widow, and I think she got married to someone else or something like that in real life. That was a part of the book.
Uh,
So the author wrote that book in a reaction to when you remember the red scars or something like that in
you're
America.
right. I know what it is. I'm not that familiar with the specifics. Maybe you could tell me more about it. I mean,
Here's the
weren't
thing:
they accusing all kinds of weren't they accusing all kinds of people in Hollywood of being involved with that?
they were kind of accusing everyone for being a communist and
Mm-hmm.
putting them on trial. And so
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Miller's wife had a connection with the Mr. McCarthy had a relationship with Arthur Miller's wife,
Okay.
and then he wanted to kind of sleep with her, and he kind of wanted to give him that deal and not make him go to get punishment for it.
Okay.
Whereas for him, he thought that his wife's dignity was much more important than the way anything was, than the way his name was, because his reputation could get destroyed by calling him a communist.
So what happened in the end?
I think he didn't get any punishment. He wrote this book at that time.
Wow, interesting.
He wrote it. He wrote this history, and then guess how people reacted.
How?
The religious right was pissed off.
Oh, because of the witch thing.
They believe in witch trials, so
Well, I hope not to this day.
I mean they do, some of them.
Seriously?
For example, yeah.
No way. I find that hard to believe. I'm going to have to look that up.
I'll tell you.
There's religious Christians in America who believe in witch trials.
Yep.
No, witch trials in America today. Witch trials in the 21st century? No way.
If they, I mean, they're not the majority, but if they ever took power, dude.
Oh my god, that's horrifying. Well, I know that how do you call it? Exorcisms are still a thing, aren't they?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with them.
What's his name? There was this guy who was running for president. What's his name? This Indian guy, this Indian Christian, and I read some
Oh, Bob
article.
Jindal.
Hmm?
Yeah. Bob Jindal. Bob Jindal. I
Right,
remember.
and he did an exorcism in college apparently.
Yeah, actually, the Amazing Atheist made a story about that,
Okay.
and the girl was like schizophrenic.
Okay, and so they gave her an exorcism, huh? That's terrible.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, that's what scares me with anarchy. If you
Hmm.
had anarchy, all these people would have their values being practiced.
Well, I mean, that should scare you just about democracy. I mean, look at this. Look at how many questionable people there are that vote. I mean, look at the Trump bandwagon. That should scare all of us.
I mean, I'm not that much scared of Trump's bandwagon in a way because
How
I know
about the racist? How do you call it? Racial separatist element.
I mean, sure, there is some Trump supporters that believe in that,
Hmm.
but chances are the court that will be decided by the court, and I don't think that's an easy case to win.
Yeah, I would hope not.
I mean, what scares me is that SJWs are beginning to adapt those values of separatism.
Well, I mean, isn't that ironic? I mean, they're literally the ones who support black only spaces and stuff. How are they not? Do they not self reflect?
Yeah, I mean, they want to have 5 states for their own right now.
They want to have what?
Like the radical ones want to have 5 states for blacks only or something like that.
No way, seriously?
I heard something along that line several times.
For blacks only? Just insanity. Wow.
I'm like, wow, you're becoming the guys that you complained about right now. I mean, if separatism ever took place, I think there would be lots of laws for the families that are kind of engaged in interracial relationships.
There would be what? Law? What? They would make it illegal for what?
I mean, here's the thing that's going to be funny.
Hmm.
For example, one of the claims of the new Black Panthers, the radical ones, is that
Okay.
you should have about a 95% black gene or something like that.
In order to be a member of their group?
No, in order to be considered black.
95%. I mean, last time I checked, most African Americans are what? Only like what percent? Like most of them are descended from white people to a large extent.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite funny to see, like with the DNA heritage test existing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Beyonce wouldn't be allowed to join. Neither would Alicia Keys. Neither would almost any of these people.
You'll be like, Beyonce, you've got to pay reparations and go back.
How insane is that?
Hmm?
That's just insanity.
I mean, it would be very cool though to watch the alt-right and the regressive left choose their people. I mean, I have a 10-state plan, which is give 5 states to the regressive left, 5 states to the alt-right, and then give the rest to America.
That sounds like a great idea.
I mean, it would be good to see though how it will work out.
Wow. Well, how do you think it would work out?
I don't know, having 3 states and then seeing how they do progress. I think they'll most of them will move back to here.
Oh yeah, sure.
They'll be like, oh man, my life is messed up.
Yo, that's hilarious.
That would be a huge migration to the multicultural society, I guess. I mean, homogeneity doesn't really work that much. So it would be quite interesting to see how people will migrate.
You're sure?
If it works, also people would go to there.
Wow. It's funny because, you know, if you look at these black or white supremacists, they're usually the dumbest examples of their races.
Yeah. Did you see my
I
post
mean, which post?
where I said this? BL, I was like ranking ranking ideas by their IQ, and then I was like, BLM has a low IQ, and then I was like, the Hoteps have a medium low IQ, and then the Black Hebrews have the lowest IQ.
You should link me to that post.
Okay.
A Hotep? It says that a Hotep is a black guy that uses his knowledge of conspiracy theories to get women.
I mean, Hoteps
what is that?
They believe that menstrual cycles are a white thing.
What? No way.
Yeah, that's how retarded they are. That's why I kind of love their idiocracy. And
what
then
about
for the Black Hebrews,
go on.
For them, like, they live in America and they believe that blacks are the real Jews.
Okay, and so
and they think
what is that?
They think that they should own the land of Israel.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, good luck with that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yo.
And so I saw a video of them making one Jewish guy cry.
Of what?
They made one Jew guy cry.
Oh my god, I've seen that video. It's the video by the Internet Aristocrat. Oh my god. That's so funny.
Oh my god. I mean, the way they were saying Heil to Hitler's, everything like that. I was like, okay.
Oh my god, I have to find that.
I'm like, I wonder how people would have treated you if you found out. You're joking.
Wait, so what are those Black Hebrews? So they're probably, I mean, in that video they looked like thugs, but are they for the most part peaceful religious people or what?
They move around and preach their shit.
Okay.
There's a video of them beating up a white girl.
What's that?
A video of them beating up a white girl.
No way. What? Why? Any reason?
She's from Tumblr and she said that she's oppressed. They kind of showed her the meaning of oppression.
Beat up.
Versus Black Hebrew. I mean, it was like the coolest thing to watch from them, I guess. It was like the Operation Olympics 101. The black guy won. Let me screen share it with you.
Please do.
Let's see.
But I see you just morphed into reality all of a sudden, right? So do you want to get down the street, or do you want to stand here and look exasperated and disgusted?
Could you like stop interrupting you for 5 seconds?
Well, what is your question?
Have you ever been raped?
No, I haven't been raped.
Do the victim card first.
No, I've never been raped.
Wait, listen to this one now.
Let me correct myself. Yeah. Let me correct myself. According to the definition of rape, what's the definition of rape?
Now he's going to define.
What is the definition? Get the etymology. That's right. Because yes, I have been seized. My ancestors were raped. That's right. From Europe and West Africa. That's right. Rape means to seize.
Oh my god.
Okay. It's unfortunate, right? That's what you Edomites always say. Now, do you have another question?
What's up?
Have you ever had like a cock shoved up?
No, I haven't.
Well, then great.
Well, you know what? I've shoved my penis into my woman, and they like it.
He's beating her off. He's triggering her.
Wow, so who would the social justice warriors support in this match? Obviously the black guy, right? Obviously the SJWs are going to side with the black guy, right?
No, they stood with her.
Oh,
Technically,
did they? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
but the cops stood with him.
that's progress.
Yeah, the cops are with
Continue.
the black guy. I mean, it's reverse in this situation. The cops are saying, "Oh, let's not oppress the black guy." The SJWs are saying, "Let's oppress him."
Oh my god.
Watch the whole thing.
Right? It's a deep. Oh my God.
Yeah, true.
Want that?
Hey, sometimes I sneak in through the window. I'm telling her, I don't know. Point though, which size wear ski mask? You brothers can get back in line.
Yeah.
So what's your point? Do you have any grievances coming up here?
Of course I have grievances.
So what are state your grievances, please?
That all men sexually harass
Oh man.
women.
Great.
So you're generalizing that all men sexually harass women. What do you define as harassment?
Well, there's a kind of a broad spectrum.
Kind of, right? She never encountered. Go ahead.
Kind of. They're kind of making. They're making fun of our word choices.
Shut the fuck up! You want to see the
So
spectrum?
do you want to have discourse, or do you want to use profanity?
First,
Okay, I'll let you speak. Go ahead, speak. You got the floor.
oh, really? Have I? Have you stopped interrupting me?
Go ahead.
No. There's a spectrum, and it ranks from interrupting to demeaning to
Oh my
belittling.
god, shut up.
All these spectrums. It's like all those things are the same thing.
Right. Rape, interruption, manspreading. It's all part of a spectrum, don't you know? Murder, genocide.
Women.
So interrupting, right? So what I just did, that was a form of harassment.
He says it.
You gotta get out of here, man. We ain't none of them guys, all right? You ain't about to come up here.
He's telling her there's no jokes around here.
I kind of like the black guy in this because he's standing up to her, and she can't say anything.
I mean, what's funny that even conservatives kind of agreed with him on that. They're like, no,
Sure.
she's violating his space. And like SJWs are totally with her, and they're like, "Oh man," and all the rants were like about how all men are oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
Call the cops. Yeah. Call the cops.
He threw her on the ground.
Oh my god.
That was so.
Shit.
That was shitty.
What a douche.
I mean, I love how the girl that was never there comes now to blame them as if she saw how the whole thing went down.
And she didn't do anything until now.
It's as if she's an innocent person that didn't call for it.
Get the man coming up here causing mission. All right?
Wait, one question. What's the Hispanic guy doing with them? I mean, are Hispanics allowed to join the Black Hebrews?
Yeah, they're part of the Black Hebrews. Hispanics, Latinos, and everyone else who is not white I can't be part of the Black Hebrews. You know why?
Why? Because you're actually
Because
Jewish?
because Africans enslaved the Jews.
Africans.
The quote-unquote Jews.
Oh, right. Africans enslaved the Jews and enslaved them in America.
Yeah. No, they sold them to America. Not. So it's like.
Wow.
So it's like you are. It kind of doesn't make sense. So it's like they're like, oh, Africans can't be part of us, but African Americans are, Latinos are. I'm like, okay.
Are Chinese allowed as well?
No, Chinese are not allowed. They
No?
believe that the Chinese are too feminine.
Too feminine. Okay, that's good.
And then it's like, oh, it's quite. But Native Americans are allowed.
Oh, really? Okay. I guess they're pretty manly.
Probably.
Better trying to play the victim.
He loves the way he called her out on that.
What did he say?
Look at her trying to play the victim.
The lady might go get the KKK, right? That's what the KKK is all about, right? Protecting white women. She come up there trying to play the victim.
So he's calling the guys who are calling her KKK.
Oh my god, what a loonbag.
Come up there trying to play. Get her, y'all better get her. Please call the cops. Call the police, all right? She came up here assaulting us. It's on camera.
Oh, she assaulted. Using
Seriously,
words.
bro? That's not how assault works.
I mean, you could say that she kind of violated their space, though.
True, but assault, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
That's right. Look at her. Look at her. She came up assaulting us. She came up assaulting us, all right? That's right. Ain't nobody out being cordial with the lady, and look who you got to come to the rescue, right? Nigga, right?
Oh.
Okay, now.
Old Sambo, all right? Nigga. Get Proverbs 11 and 21, all right? Oh, they're in. Is that not what she was trying to do? Because she resisted. Oh, she fucking up. Get it, yeah. Slam her head against the car. Get her, get her, get her. Slam her ground. Taser, taser, taser.
How did the cops come to conclusion to arrest her? Some record or something like that of going.
Really?
And probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they would assume that she's doing something bad.
She's probably one of those agitators who stands in front of abortion clinics, right?
Probably. She does something crazy. It's probably somewhere along that lines. I mean, she believes that all men are rapists.
Well, you know what's interesting is
Well, you could go ahead.
I said I think I've actually met Black Hebrews in Israel. I mean, maybe there are different type of Black Hebrews, but they're all vegans. Like they believe in veganism, and they're all super peaceful. And they're from Chicago or something. I mean, are there different types of Black Hebrews?
Yeah, there's the ones that are about self-construction. And there's those that are about distracting others. There's different spectrums on it. There's Black nationalists, Black Hebrews, and there's Black supremacists.
Yo, that's insane. Oh boy.
Black Hebrews
They're what?
They're kind of cool though. They kind of disturb everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how he was how he was triggering that feminist. I like that.
Yeah.
Yo, the video where he makes the Jewish guy cry. Wow, that Jewish guy's a bit of a pussy.
So-called Hebrews. Here's them trying to debunk the idea that there is Ethiopian Hebrews.
Let's see.
Let's see. Wait. Oh, this is Rastafarian. Wait, let me look for them trying to agitate one of the Africans that live there. It's quite funny when they attack Africans who live in the USA. It's like, okay. And there was a video of one of them bullying a small black kid, and at first they thought that he's an African American.
Okay.
They got him close to them, and then it's like they discovered that he's not, and they begin reacting to him.
Wait, so they realized he's not black?
He's quote unquote not Hebrew.
Because he's not black?
No, he's black, but they believe that Africans can't be Hebrews. It's only African Americans.
So they realized the kids like the him. Okay.
This one here is rated R. Restricted.
Jesus is 666.
Oh my God. The Devil's Temple.
Bring out the gospel of Jesus.
That is
Cathedral of Pimps, Hoes, Homos, and Haters of Christ.
Islam, as we know it today, is a farce and a lie. These things
Okay.
have nothing to do with the King of Jews, nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the Savior. The church is filled with a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees, money-grubbing gangster thieves that need to be seat as Christ prescribed in the Bible.
Bala? What's Bala?
Wow. That's I think that was the god, some god that people worshipped. Sacrificed children for, and it's written about in the Bible that you shouldn't make child sacrifices to him.
So he's calling Allah Bala.
Rock worshipping. Wait, I don't get it. So they don't believe in Jesus?
Even him, but they believe that he's a Hebrew. It's only for the Hebrew guys.
Wait, so they're Christians, but they believe they're Jewish Christians? I mean, they believe they're like Jews for Jesus?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. No, that all makes sense. Continue.
They believe that, like, all of us will go to hell and everything like that, and then, like, their God will come and rescue them only.
Okay. only African American Black Hebrews.
African Americans, Latinos, and
Right.
everyone else.
And Native Americans.
Basically, that's where it goes. It's like indigenous Americans. I'm gonna skip the intro because you might. Let's see here.
Jesus, what does it say? Is black?
He said that you can't call me black or something like that. He called him racist, I guess, and he called him I can't be a racist.
What?
He's like I'm a superior race, so I can't be.
I guess you gonna tell me to go back to Africa. Don't nobody want to go to Africa. Believe me, Africa's a nation of flies.
I kind of love their openness.
What are they even saying? I can't understand them.
He's saying that Africa is a nation of flies or something like that.
A nation of lice?
Flies.
Africa is.
Yeah.
And they don't believe that their ancestors are from Africa?
No, they're not. They're from Israel.
So they believe it's just a coincidence that they have black skin.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
Okay.
I think they believe that they got raped by the blacks who enslaved them.
Oh my God.
Or something like that.
Yo, oh my God. Have you seen, is this, do they believe in this thing, what was his name? This alien who created, what is, oh, I can't remember. They believe like some alien created black people for some, oh no, the alien was black and then the aliens, God turned white people white and because they're inferior or something. What is that called again?
Oh, there's some crazy conspiracy like that made by a white guy from Germany. He believes that
Yakub. No, Yakub. Okay, tell me you know who Yakub is.
I think I do. Oh yeah, I know. The guy. One who said that menstruation is not a black thing.
Wait, how is it not a black thing?
He's like, if you eat white food, that's when you get those cycles.
If you eat white food.
Yeah.
What's white food?
He means artificial food by white food, I guess. He wants them to be vegan.
What, like carrots and tomatoes?
Yeah, he wants them to be vegans,
Really? Okay. Yeah.
And he doesn't also allow people to eat broccoli.
Okay. Okay.
Why not? It's a white invention.
Okay. No, that's Nation of Islam that believes in him, isn't it?
Hmm?
That's Nation of
No,
Islam who believes in him.
they don't technically believe in the guy called it Yaqub in here. He's the one I know on YouTube.
He's a black scientist who lived 6,600 years ago and was responsible for creating the white race to be a race of devils. He was said to have done this through a form of selective breeding referred to as grafting while living on the island of Patmos.
That's an interesting theory.
Yes, it is. And he had a giant alien head.
The Nation of Islam is quite cool with their craziness.
What's that?
The Nation of Islam in the West is quite cool. Their craziness.
Oh, by the way, I just found something on their website. National Geographic proves teaching on Mr. Yaqub. Let's see. Yeah. So they think National Geographic confirms Yaqub's genetic experimenting.
I mean, did you hear about the guy the guy who made the frogs theory? He's a black guy too.
The what?
The frogs. The government is turning frogs into faggots. That's what he called it.
Frogs into faggots?
Yeah.
What? I've never heard of that. What is frogs into faggots?
So they believe that the government is kind of putting substance in the water that makes frogs become homosexual.
Wait, Nation of Islam believes that?
At first, it was made by them, the theory. Now, even Alex Jones agrees with that.
Wait, frogs are... Why does it matter if frogs are homosexual?
Well, they are saying that our kids are also drinking that water. That's why we have much more number of that.
No freaking... Wait, and... Wow. Wait, Alex Jones is that crazy? I mean, I've listened to his podcast before, and I've never heard him go that crazy.
He's crazy. I mean, he believes that 9/11 is an inside job, so that's the way.
Oh my god! So frogs, frogs make people gay.
Yeah, let me end the podcast, and you can have an offline chat.